We're going to watch this golfer do a practice swing, and we're going to see that even on the practice swing, the head leads the club head through the swing. I'm going to do it in regular motion here at first. Watch the head go.
Nope, head went first.
Now let's watch that again, just to see what's going on. I've got a couple of things. We have the hips are too level. Need to get the right hip a little lower than the left hip, and the right shoulder a little lower than the left shoulder, so the head is more behind the swing again. Now as he takes the club away, does a pretty good job of keeping the angles pretty good. Sticks his butt out kind of behind him. What's causing that is the straightening here of the right knee. Notice it's pulled back into the inside, so he's not posting against the right knee. Now as he comes down, he's going to drive pretty solidly into the lead side to a point, and then he stops. Good impact position right there. Now he's got to rotate the right hand abruptly over the top. He's not doing that. So in order to get the arms long, he's got to follow with his head. So at this point, right in here, he needs to take the right hand and go up over the top that way, on through to the finish. Now ideally, what we want the finish to be is a straight line down here, through his ear, through his shoulder, through his hip, through his right knee. So you can see the right knee and the hip are way back here. Okay? Rotation, rotation, rotation. Now later on in the lesson, we're doing much better. On this down the line view, we have some lines drawn in. The green line is the swing plane. The blue line is his spine angle. Looks pretty good. He is reaching a little bit according to the red line, that his hands are a little outside the red line. So let's see what he does on the takeaway here. Taking the club up the plane line very nicely, right to there. Just a little bit low, not bad at all. Right there, he's gone way to the inside again, and that's because the hands were so far out. The club head again needs to be about where the green and blue lines cross, and it's way behind that line. So he's going to get another over-the-top move here. We're going to see, probably. Gets up above the plane highly, and now he's coming in over the top. So you can see that he's not dropping the club into the zone. He's way above it. The hands are out, coming in too steep. Never got back down to plane and pulled out of the shot. Notice now where his spine angle is. He's completely drifted off his spine angle. He's lifted his head quite a bit, and he did that right away on the takeaway. If you watch, we'll go back to the takeaway position. You'll see the great lift right at the beginning. Right there, he starts lifting up. See that? Let's work on keeping steady, staying on your spine angle. Let's start by looking at the setup here. Notice the shoulders are just over the toes. He looks pretty well balanced. The club shaft is running up through the middle of his back pretty nicely on plane. Now what we're going to see, I'm going to clear the lines out, is on his takeaway, he's going to roll those hands over pretty abruptly, and that throws the club head off alignment right away. Watch the hands right there, see that? See that turn? Got to get rid of that turn of the hands early. What's going to happen is the club is going to continue to go back behind him, that instead of being here into where our preferred spot is, where the club face should be right there, he's definitely rotated it too far to the inside, which is going to create a little bit of an over-the-top move. Right about in here somewhere, I'll start. There's the over-the-top move, where the club's going to come in high and steep. He's going to drop the club on top of the ball. Look how wide open the club face is at this point, right on through the shot, and there goes the ball off to the right. Okay, ninth turn to the finish. Okay, from this setup angle, we can see that the golfer's kind of leaning towards the target. The head should be back further, more about it here. We want a spine tilt away from the target so that we kind of have a straight line here. And notice that his shoulder's pretty far forward. So we'd like to get his spine angle tilted, his right shoulder a little bit lower than it is now, so it's much lower than the right shoulder. If you take a look at the hands, you'll notice that the right hand is much lower than the left hand. Therefore, the right shoulder should be lower, and the right hip. And we can see that the right hip looks a little elevated at this angle. That sometimes creates too steep of a swing and makes for tough contact. Let's watch the takeaway here. He's getting behind the ball pretty good there, but he's got to sway to do it. So if he'd have started with his head there, he'd be in a better position on the takeaway. So he's gotten kind of behind the ball a little bit, rotated his shoulders nicely. He's kind of rolled his lead foot over. We like to see the lead foot a little more posted solid. Turning into the shot, bumping into the green line pretty good right there. Turning through it. A little bit of a chicken wing. That means the right hand hasn't rotated enough over the top of the club. Left arm is up. Notice that the head is back where it should have been at the beginning. And I think that'll help him decrease his movement a lot. Up to a very nice balanced finish. Not bad. Here we see a good setup. I'd like to see the right toe moved a little bit more square to the target line. Pretty strong grip, but a very athletic setup. Let's watch the takeaway here. Pretty good movement to the outside. Bracing solidly up against the trail leg. Right here we see a really nice club hinge. That's what we look for. Nice straight lead arm. Ready to turn into the swing. Go to the top of the backswing. Going a little high there. She didn't need to lift there. And then moving into the swing, dropping the hands nicely, pulling into the swing. Solid impact position. Little chicken wing here. She doesn't do that very often. Usually she's got the arms turned over much better. But a pretty athletic swing and a nice finish. Good setup here. The spine may be a little too upright. I'd like to see maybe a little bit bent over more. That would help the club be a little higher on her spine, maybe closer to 90 degrees. But let's watch the turn here. Takes the club a little too far to the inside. We talk about this a lot. At this point back here, right there, we'd like to see the club here, the club head. So she's getting the club a little too far behind her. Again, a lot to remember. Start right there, turn into the shot. A little too far behind you, get a good position there, good straight lead arm. Now she's going to drop the club nicely into the slot, see that? Comes through it, pulled up a little out of the shot, turns through it nicely. We're going to begin this swing at the top of the backswing. You can see the golfer is almost standing straight up and down, and the club is quite a bit laid off from the target angle, which would be down to the golf ball. We need to get her shoulders pointing from here down to that golf ball. Okay. So she's got to be bent over quite a bit more at the impact to get a much higher club. So she stood straight up, and she's not in a position now to swing efficiently down to the golf ball. Let's move it a little forward here. Then she even goes higher. Now she's way straight up and down. And now the club is in more of a hatchet position. She's got the left hand curved way over the top. Really in an uncomfortable position. Not able to easily route the club back down to the target line. So now she's going to drop it a little to the inside. Notice how much her head has to move now to get that club back down to the target. Now right in here, now she's in a good position. If she was in that position to start with and it turned into the shot, she'd be in better place. So we're going to watch the turn, pull the arms into the inside, see how they pulled right inside of her, swung out to the left instead of out to the right. Now here's a very strong golfer, very athletic golfer. We just need to get her to change her swing plane. Here we are in the caddy view. At this setup, you can see she's turned a little bit towards the target. If we draw a line down through her head, you'll notice that the head is right over the golf ball, even with the wood here. That's going to create too steep of a line, and you can see that she's turned quite a bit to face the target. What we'd like to see is that the hands are more body-centered, more here in the center of her body. The shoulders are a little bit more on a line like this. That's kind of an exaggeration. So the head is back behind the golf ball. It's very important that the golfer stays on that side of the golf ball if she can. We're going to watch the takeaway here. Arms going back pretty nice, see, turning through it. But already you'll see a lifting of the spine and the head where she's lifting up. Great width in the takeaway. Now along about here, we'd like to see the wrist start to hinge a little bit. and they're not. There's no hinge yet, still not hinging. We're not getting any leverage for that hinge. And now she's standing straight up and down. Instead of having her spine on this angle, it's straight up and down again. In fact, it's even a little tilted towards the target. So we just get her to turn around her fixed spine. And now she's going to turn into the shot. Now she's jumping way out in front of the ball. Now her head is well past the golf ball as she's moving into the impact zone. You can see that pretty easily right here. The head is past it. In fact, the whole body's past it. She's leaning towards the target. She's going to chop down on it. Very inefficient way to hit a ball, especially with a fairway wood. And you see her momentum carries her, again, well past the golf ball. Never quite gets into a good position for a finish. The head is out past everything. The head's all moved that way. This golfer's in a good position. You can see that the right shoulder is considerably lower than the left shoulder. That's because the right hand is lower than the left hand. Good solid setup with the legs. Head well behind the ball. I'm going to watch the takeaway now. Minimal hand action. That's pretty good. Notice already the wrists are starting to hinge the club up to the 90 degree. He's almost perfect in this position here. I'll just kind of keep an eye right there to make sure that left wrist doesn't overcup. The arms are level. It's a very good position. We're going to turn into the shot some more. Arms are staying level. Very, very good position. Turn it up. Come back down. Notice the left wrist still hasn't quite flattened out. Now it's flattening out. Good timing here. Head has stayed really quiet. He's rotated into the shot pretty solidly. You can see the club face is maybe a little overclosed, which means he's turning to the inside a little bit. Pretty good position there. See if he rotates. Now the hand is staying under the golf club. That's this point right here. We really want to get this hand turning over the top of the golf club. So he's still underneath, flipping the ball off to the left.